It's the winter of 2007. It's snowing outside, and I'm on winter vacation. 13-year-old me boots up a clunky Windows XP desktop to enjoy a full day of RuneScape. I log in to find myself surrounded by 2,000 other players, standing in the middle of Falador Park. This is World 2, where all RuneScape players went to buy and sell items. I take a deep breath, and I begin to furiously mash on the keyboard. Flash 2, selling nats, 200 each, JJROCKETS. Flash 2, selling nats, 200 each, JJROCKETS. Flash 2, selling nats, 200 each, JJROCKETS. In a crowd of this size, the only way to be heard, or seen rather, is to spam your sale in the chat over and over as fast as possible. If you can't keep up with the others, your message is drowned out in a sea of other sales. For those of you that didn't have the pleasure of experiencing this firsthand growing up, this might sound like an exaggeration, but I assure you it is not. It is through this trial of fire that I learned to type as fast as I do today. That was almost 15 years ago. Since then, I've typed God only knows how many messages on AIM, IRC, and Facebook chats. I've gone through all of high school and college, typing more papers than I could ever count. I've typed blog posts, matchup notes for every character at Smash 4, embarrassing forum posts. I've done it all. Yet, in those 15 years, my typing speed has not improved whatsoever. Why is that? Today, we explore what is known as the OK Plateau, the reason my typing speed has not improved, the reason most people never get better at driving, and most importantly of all, the reason you aren't getting better at Smash. In 1967, two psychologists named Fitz and Posner set out to answer this question of why skill levels tend to plateau after a certain point. They showed their findings in a three-phase model of skill acquisition. The first stage of their model is the cognitive phase. This is where you come in with a completely blank slate. In the beginning, you're just trying to gather information and understand how the skill is performed. In a context of Smash, this is like learning how your attacks work, how you can move around the stage, how you can dodge and evade attacks. This is the absolute basics. In the cognitive phase, you go from knowing absolutely nothing about the game to having a pretty good grasp on the game fairly quickly as your brain begins to figure out how the game is played. I like to think about this like leveling up in an RPG. As your level increases, the experience required to reach the next level increases as well. Next is the associative phase. In this phase, the problem to be solved changes from gathering information about the game into putting that information into practice. You start to build up a muscle memory for more complicated button inputs. You learn better combos, you start to have more fluid movement, and just overall you begin to have full control of your character. Improvement slows down a little bit, but it's still consistent and there's still a clear path forward on what you can learn and practice next. Eventually, you reach a point where there's no obvious next step in your progression. You have full control of your character. You can execute your bread and butter combos with ease. Nothing in the game surprises you anymore. At this point, the amount of experience points, or effort, required to reach the next level becomes so massive that your brain unconsciously decides, I'm okay with how good I am at this game, and your play moves from your consciousness to your unconsciousness. This is the third and final stage that Fitz and Posner called the autonomous stage. From a biologic evolutionary standpoint, this shift to unconsciousness makes sense. When it comes to a matter of survival, your brain is better off using energy on learning new and unfamiliar things rather than marginally improving at what you're already capable of. Why waste mental energy on going from level 98 to 99 firemaking when you could go from level 70 to 80 hunter with the same effort? When you reach this level that your unconscious mind pushes the game from your consciousness to your unconsciousness, you have reached the OK Plateau. Now what? how do you break past the plateau and speed up your improvement again? Well, improvement in any skill in the autonomous phase is much slower and much harder than improvement in the cognitive phase. Therefore, in order to speed up your improvement and escape from the OK plateau, you must revert back to the cognitive phase and stop yourself from autopiloting. Joshua Foer, a science journalist who first coined the term OK plateau, summarized the findings of many case studies on experts across various fields into a 4-step strategy to stay out of the autonomous stage and to turn off autopiloting. The first step is to practice outside your comfort zone and to study your failures. Let's go back to the typing speed example to see how to apply this. Most people tend to have a comfortable typing speed at which they type at all the time with very little variation. People like to stay in this comfort zone because attempting to go any faster would result in more mistakes, and therefore it takes a longer time to type their messages. However, by staying in this comfort zone, you can never learn to type any faster or more accurately. Foer suggests that in order to improve your typing speed, you should consciously type at a speed faster than your normal while paying close attention to where you are making your mistakes. As you spend more time practicing at faster speeds, you start to pick up on patterns on what is causing your mistakes, and then you can focus your practice on correcting those. Step 2 is to watch and analyze experts in your field. Luckily for fighting games and esports players, this is incredibly easy nowadays. With the prevalence of tournament streams and VODs on YouTube, anybody can find a plethora of videos of top players of their game. When watching VODs of top players, it's important to ask yourself why. Why did they make the decisions they made? Why did they use that one move in that one position? What would have happened if they chose a different option? Learning from VODs of better players is a skill in and of itself, one that I don't have time to cover in depth in this video. Later on in this series, I plan to take a deeper look at how to improve from watching top players, but for now, just know that it's best to be asking yourself why, to figure out why that player is doing what they're doing. The next step is to have constant and immediate feedback so that you can adjust your play as you practice. This is actually a trap that many Smash players fall into, in my opinion. They look at only the results of the game as their feedback, but I think that this is inconsistent. You actually only have control over 50% of the outcome of the match, while your opponent controls the other 50%. You could be playing the best game of your life, but it doesn't matter if your opponent is playing just a little bit better because they'll win the match anyways. By looking at the result of this match as just a loss, I think you're missing the bigger picture. Instead of focusing on the result of the game, you should concentrate on what are called SMART goals. This stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals. Let's break down each part to show you how to create an effective SMART goal. S. Specific. When you are trying to improve at something, setting a specific goal will help you achieve that. Something like get better at Smash is so broad that it won't be of any use to you in your practice. Instead, try to narrow down one specific aspect of the game that you want to focus on at a time. For example, ledge trapping, combos, juggling, or escaping from disadvantage. M. Measurable. Even if you have a specific goal like get better at ledge trapping, it is still difficult to measure whether you succeeded in achieving that goal. You must find a way to set your goals such that you can measure exactly how successful you were. Now we can further adjust our goal to cover the opponent's ledge jump with a Z-drop spike. A. Achievable. Your goal must be achievable. Something like take every stock ever with a Z-drop spike is obviously never going to happen. You should try to avoid setting goals that are too difficult or too unrealistic to achieve. R. Relevant. This one is simple. Is your goal relevant to the skill you are trying to develop? For us, we want to improve at Smash, so our goal of landing a Z-drop spike is very relevant. T. Time-bound. Last, your goal should be time-bound. This is important for getting immediate feedback, as well as assuring you aren't wasting your time trying to achieve a goal that isn't as achievable as you thought. Now we can further narrow down our goal to cover the opponent's ledge jump with a Z-drop spike in this best of 5 set. Using this SMART goal, I can guarantee you that by the end of the best of 5 set, you will be at least a little bit better at finding situations that you can use a Z-drop spike. By focusing on this one aspect of the game, you are forced back to the cognitive phase, in which you're constantly thinking about ways that you can achieve your SMART goal. In addition, you won't be tunnel visioning on the result of the game. In practice, it's more important to work on expanding your skill set than it is to win every single game. With constant improvement, the results will soon follow. Finally, the last point is that you want to treat the skill you're learning like a science. You want to collect data, analyze it, create and test theories. Try to figure out what the right options are for every single interaction in the entire game. I personally have experience doing this myself in Smash 4, where I maintained matchup notes for every character in the game that I stored on my phone. I could reference these notes every time I was about to play an important match in bracket. Other top players do this as well, most notably DeBuzz with his laptop. Originally, I wanted to demonstrate putting all this together to try to overcome my OK plateau with my typing speed. But this video is already getting pretty long. Instead of showing my full methodology, I'm just going to show you my results instead. If you are interested in a deep dive into the process, click the subscribe button and you can see the full video when it's uploaded at a later date. At the start of the week, I took an average from 3 typing tests online to find my base words per minute. Throughout the week, I spent approximately 30 minutes per day practicing typing above my usual speed. Each day, I took another average of 3 tests to see if my practice was working or not. By the end of the week, typing at my original 76 words per minute felt incredibly slow, and I was making far fewer mistakes when I was typing at higher speeds. My final average was 92 words per minute, a 20% increase over a 1-week period after being stagnant for 15 years. Obviously, this is not an exact science, and there were many sources of error in my experiment. However, I think it does do a decent job of demonstrating that with the right changes to the way you practice, you can overcome skill plateaus with relative ease. By practicing outside your comfort zone and studying your failures, you can start to expand the reach of your abilities. By watching and studying experts, you can see which areas you still need to improve in, and by getting constant and immediate feedback, you can fine-tune the way you practice. Finally, by treating the skill like a science, you can round out your skill set the best. I hope that by watching this video, you've learned some new strategies that you can use to get better at whatever it is you're trying to get better at. This was the first episode in what I'm going to call the Improvement Series, where I'm going to take a deep dive into various topics that will help you get better at Smash, other games, or pretty much any skill in general that you want to practice. Some of these videos are going to be specific to Smash, but others, like this one, will apply to pretty much anything you want. If you learned something new, be sure to hit the subscribe button to see when the next episode goes live, and let me know down in the comments what topics you want to see me cover next. Thank you all for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.